So there is a like barn type building in Alabama, but the history behind it is it's actually a it was like an old porn like movie place. Like they would like strictly only watch pornography films in this place, and it was just that's the weirdest place.
What's going on, wrestling fans? It is I, Steve Fall, and welcome to 10 Count right here on Wrestling News Co. On today's edition, I am talking to someone who is taking over the wrestling world one match at a time. It's Kenzie Paige. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm feeling like a champion.
Oh, yeah, I see it. And I see in the backdrop as well, you get some wonderful pictures of the memories so far you've created in life. But today, let's talk about the beginning. How did you even get into professional wrestling? Was there a star? Was there a friend? Was someone told you you have to watch this crazy thing called professional wrestling?
It's actually wild. My dad is an independent wrestling promoter. So, ever since I was little, wrestling's been a part of my life. So, watching him love it, I fell in love with it naturally, obviously. Most kids were going to football games and stuff like that on Fridays. I was not. I was going to wrestling shows. So, and then unlike some people, I actually was more, involved in the indie side. Like I knew more about independent wrestling rather than big league. So it's just always been a part of what, I represent myself as and what I want to be. So it's been there from
My
the beginning.
Wow. Now that's a good
Hmm.
story to tell because obviously your father, who clearly loves wrestling as well,
Hmm.
and because you don't spend the time and the money on that to hopefully get some bucks out of the indie game. Now, tell me something. You've obviously been in different arenas, different high school gymnasiums, all types of places. What's the strangest place you've ever performed in the ring?
So there is a like barn type building in Alabama, but the history behind it is it's actually a it was like an old porn like movie place. Like they would like strictly only watch pornography films in this place, and it was just that's the weirdest place. Obviously it was a nasty old rundown barn somewhere in Alabama. But when I walked in, they were like, yeah, this is used to be porn showings here. I was like, and now there's professional wrestling, so here we are. Welcome. That is the strangest place I personally have ever wrestled in.
What does it mean being a champion of such a company like NWA that has been around, it feels like since the beginning of time, since beginning of professional wrestling? You are the women's champion. How does that like something you can comprehend? Is it something you're taking for granted? Like, how do you feel about being that champion?
It's really it is hard to comprehend, because like I said, it's wrestling's been in my life since I was a kid. And like you said, you don't make big bucks in the indies. My dad wasn't making big money. We lost cars, we had our childhood was rough. Some people would say it's wrestling's fault. We don't think that, obviously. But to be here now and to be a champion, it's like this is not only a payoff for me, but it's a payoff for my sisters, my mom, my dad. It's like everything that we lost when we were younger, everything, all of that is paid off in some aspect for someone, right? And my dad looks at it the same way. It's like everything that we've had to overcome to get to this point was worth it. Because my parents came to the pay-per-view. They were sitting there. My dad was front row, hugged me right after. So these moments and these things, and have my little sister involved, it's a big payoff for all of us. So can't take it for granted. Never, never, never. And it's also like with the NWA, it's built off of history, a legacy, and that's what you think of when you think of the National Wrestling Alliance. So to be the first, triple crown champion, and I'm only 21, it's like I made history in the most historical place in wrestling. You know what I mean? That's what I wanted to do. That's what I'm going to keep doing. So yeah, being a champion is amazing. It's a lot of pressure, but it's a payoff for me and my family. And I think it goes deeper, so this is for all of us. That's what I think of when I'm a champion.
Now, could we talk a little bit more about your childhood upbringing? Because you kind of brought it up yourself, where a lot of wrestling fans think you can just have a great build or a great look and you get into the big leagues, or you go into a AEW or WWE or NWA Impact, so many other organizations that exist in today's world. So as you're growing up, your father is putting on wrestling shows, but yet you just kind of said it. Suddenly, where's the car, Dad? Oh, we have to sell it. Like, oh, where's this, Dad? It's gone. Is there a point in your life where you ever looked at wrestling in a negative light, going like, I can't get my prom dress because, or go out with my friends because we don't have any money because of this wrestling thing? It's obviously it gives and it takes.
Yeah, and that's what I learned from a very young age. I started wrestling when I was 14. So I knew from 14 exactly what the sacrifices were in wrestling. So yeah, there's sometimes where like my mom looked at wrestling in a negative light, and it was hard to not be like, damn, like I'm having to take the bus to school because our car got towed. Like, damn, Dad, like, how did you let that happen? And then he told me, he's like, this is what I love. And there's sacrifices that you have to make. And any wrong that had happened from wrestling, my dad had it fixed within the next day. Don't tell me how, I have no idea. But he made a way, right? So from a very young age, I learned there's going to be sacrifices. And if you want to make it, you're going to find a way. If something is taken from you, you're going to find a way to get it back or get better, period. That's how it is. That's how it's been since I was young. My family, I watched my dad overcome stuff, my mom overcome stuff. And like you said, it gives and it takes. You have to give a lot to this, and you can't expect to just get stuff without, giving up something. So I learned that from a very young age, and I feel like that's what has kept me very humble and very like, in touch with reality. Like, you are a champion, but don't forget where you came from.
Well, man, I full of wisdom at such a young age. And obviously, sacrifice becoming who you are today has led you to this point in time, which, obviously, you're the talk of the town right now. After Camille, with her over 800-day championship reign as NWA Women's Champion, you defeated her at the anniversary show. And then here you are now. There's a spotlight on you. That was the spotlight that was on Camille for 800 plus days. Now it is placed on you in the new era of NWA as well. It's not just NWA with Tyrus as champion. This is a whole new ball game. EC3, there you are. How does that spotlight feel? Because obviously you're putting in the work. 14 years old, you said. You started in the business. Your father's a promoter. It gives, it takes. Now all that sacrifice is giving you this spotlight. Where do you feel? How do you feel about this? Because this is wanted. You've wanted this, and now you have it. What's it like having your dream in your hands?
I feel, like I said earlier, it's a payoff, but I feel like this is for all of Pretty Empowered. It's like to be showcased on a forefront like NWA in this new era, which we like to prefer as the Pretty era. We are, on the forefront of that. Whenever you think of the new era, you think obviously of EC3, but if you're not thinking of Pretty Empowered, if you're not thinking Kenzie Paige, Kylie Paige, Ella Envy, are you really thinking about the National Wrestling Alliance? In this day and age, I feel like Pretty Empowered has brought something new to the NWA. We've brought this young, fresh, new vibe. And I feel like people either love it or hate it. Either way, it's working, And being on the forefront, it's a lot of pressure, but like you said, since I was 14, this is what I've wanted. Do you think I've not prepared for this, worked for this, been ready for this? It gives and it takes. I'm ready for whatever it wants to take because I'm just going to keep giving back. You know what I mean? I'm ready to be the best champion. And having Camille with her long, dominant reign, she is an amazing champion. She was longest reigning champion. She has her history behind her, and I have my history behind me. You know what I mean? I'm walking in first Triple Crown champion, youngest NWA World Women's Champion. So like I said, she's a lot to live up to, but I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be a lot to live up to as well.
Of course. Now, I've interviewed Billy Corrigan, the owner of NWA and of course Smashing Pumpkins, many different times. And off camera, we have talked about other wrestlers he sees as the future of NWA. He mentioned you by name. He told me after I was done interviewing him a few months ago, he's like, you need to hunt her down, Steve. You need to get her. And I said, oh okay. And let's set it up. Let's do it. So the confidence that he has in you isn't just on camera, it's off camera. He's talking positive about you, not even on camera. Again, how does that feel? Because the boss of NWA, he's putting in his own money. This is his
Mhm.
baby. He tried to open up other organizations and they shut the door on him, even though he offered millions of dollars. But now he has NWA and is rising again. Brand new TV deal, not officially announced on television, but if you're on the internet or you're on Twitter, you know what's going on.
Mhm.
This is a huge moment. How do you feel about that? Having the boss be like, this is what we need to do. We need to get the rocket ship strapped to Kenzie.
It is. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear people texting you.
Sorry, I was turning my notifications off. Um, it means a lot, and I always. So this is what I always say: like having someone like Billy put so much trust in me, and me being so young. Like I am only 21, and he's trusting me with what you said is his baby. This is his money going into it. This is his thoughts, his visions come to life, and to have me be a part of that and allowing me to be a part of that is a dream come true. It's very, and it's not just, he doesn't just take care of me. He doesn't just think that way of me. He believes that about my little sister and about Ella, and it's just us having that love and support from the boss, that makes you go, like, you want to go above and beyond. You want to do the best. You want to be the best because he respects and appreciates what I bring to the table. So I'm going to bring the most to the table. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. And with him constantly being supportive and, putting me over, it makes me want to work 10 times harder for him. That's how, because I see that it's recognized and appreciated.
Whose idea was Pretty Empowered? Because again, you brought up a little while ago, you are 21, very youthful. And you look at wrestlers' average age, say on a Raw or a SmackDown or AEW, they're 30 and up, but here you are 21. You have so much ahead of you already. So the youth movement of Pretty Empowered and NWA has given it a fresh coat of paint. Who created Pretty Empowered? Was it you, Billy, like a collaboration?
So Pretty Empowered was actually formed before I even went to NWA. So I was there as an extra a few times, but on the indies I had me and Ella as a tag. She was my tag partner on the indies before Kylie got into wrestling. It was me and her. We were traveling around, we were doing our thing, and we just clicked, and we were like, okay, this can be something. And NWA had just had the EmPowerrr pay-per-view. So we were like, I feel like we could play off that, like, use that and do something cute with it. And then it just came up with Pretty Empowered. I'm pretty sure one of our fans in Alabama just said you should be pretty empowered. And we were like, wow, that's actually amazing. That's great. So we just went with it and it kind of clicked for everybody. So, and then when we took it to NWA, Ella came with me and they bit. So we were like, okay, here we go. Time to do something with it.
It's a great name, especially for NWA, because
Mm-hmm.
it just all connects with all their branding and how they present it. It fits perfectly for them. But
Mm-hmm.
they did have that all women's pay-per-view, and everyone still wants it to come back. Everyone's still waiting for it to come back. I've asked Billy about it, Trevor Murdoch, and they always kind of said the same thing. Well, it's like, well, it'll eventually come back, but it was never supposed to be a annual event. It was one time, and then everyone started praying for it over and over. Do you think it'll ever
Mm-hmm.
come back?
I mean, I want it to come back. I think it should come back for sure because not only for personal reasons, because I want, everyone to be showcased, but also because, fun fact, that pay-per-view, I was on the pre-show against, I think her name was Pawala Blaze. So I feel like it would be my own little success story to be able to, main event that pay-per-view, so that would be a big jump for me. So as far as I'm concerned, hope it comes back. If they're saying eventually it will come back, then I say he wouldn't lie to you.
Yes, it's sometimes hard to trust wrestlers, but I will or promoters, but I will always give forth the best. I think they're on the up and up. I think we're good here. So I'd love to see that pay-per-view return. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people have, and it just the first one had such a combo of different companies working together,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's where it cost probably a lot of money. So having just NWA talent involved, I think, and even
Mm-hmm.
the story you brought up, having you on the pre-show to going to main event, the climb, the video package, the
Yeah.
promos, that just writes
Mm-hmm.
itself. That's an easy story to tell. I
I
was on the
mean, hey.
pre-show. I was a nobody, and now I'm
Hmm.
the world
And I
champion of
lost too. So.
NWA. Oh, you lost too. There we go. Even better. Not for that time, but for the story arc of, hey, now I'm the world champion. Now I'm the main
Mhm.
event. Eat it up. Show what you're worth, and that would
Yeah,
be. I think we got something here. You
we
know,
got a story.
I think we can text Billy right now about this. So your look, you mentioned it. I even looked at pictures of you, say last year and the year before. What inspired the current look that you're rocking right now?
um, so back to the, all women's pay-per-view being, pre-show and all of that. And I was around all of these talented, amazing, beautiful women. And I was like, there's something different about me and these women, right? First off, I was young. I was only 18, right? So, or 19, 18 or 19. So I wasn't fully, I was a kid in a locker room full of women. So automatically I was like, okay, I have to make a change. They are in shape. They look mentally, physically healthy, happy, and I want to be that. I'm going to be that. So, I actually got sick and I had some parosmia, so I switched to an all vegan diet. So I lost a lot of weight, got in the gym. I really started going to therapy and got like actually mentally healthy and happy. And so a lot of things changed in my life. I was finally where I wanted to be physically. And so now I just keep thinking like anything that appeals or makes me happy or makes me feel cute, I do it. If I want to tan, do my nails, I just went and got bangs because I feel cute. And I like to think like what's different? Who's got all of this, like the piercing, stuff like that. Like it's just what makes me happy. 21, I'm just trying to make myself happy and then it just ends up appealing to some people.
Don't worry, there's plenty of things in the future that as I have 3 children, I have a wife, I've been married for 10 years. Trust me, there's a lot in the future that you can worry about when you're 21. Enjoy the world, make yourself happy, and whatever you need to do
Hmm.
because who cares what someone else thinks? What about you? How you feel up here
Exactly.
is really what matters. Every day you can wake up and feel a little sad, but then every day you can wake up a little more happy. So
Exactly. That's all
life
it's to
certainly
do.
changes.
Hmm.
What an inspiring story, though, because unfortunately you did get sick, you mentioned, but at the same time, now what you're presenting on television is who you are versus
Hmm.
who you thought you needed to be, I'm guessing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Man.
Yep.
And so imagining that people must come up to you already, maybe even people who are older, people who are younger, who see you and they go, like, I love your look, I love who you are, I'm inspired by you because again, this story you're sharing now, I've seen interviews with you and they go into some topics, but I feel like at least right now, I feel like I'm getting a little more peek inside your head versus a peek on like what's your dream match and on
Yeah,
things
and
of
I
that
love
nature.
doing stuff like this. I feel like not a lot of people know who the real Kenzie is. So I love going beyond who's your favorite wrestler, what's your dream match, blah, blah, blah. So I do love this. I appreciate this.
Oh, of course. Now, who's your dream match? No, I'm just kidding.
Hmm.
But seriously, though, I don't think people realize that the sacrifices that are made for professional wrestlers in general, or really anybody, because this takes time, this takes effort. Even if you have, say, a regular 9 to 5 job, this is what you also are trying to do. Your dream is more important than your normal job, but your normal job also
Exactly.
is paying your bills, keeping the lights on, cell phones, emails, all that stuff. So it's like there's a
The
lot.
balance.
Yeah, I don't think people see that. I think they think
Yeah.
you're on TV. She must have everything going for her. But,
We're humans too. That's what I always tell people. I'm like, I'll be talking with friends. I'm like, people don't get it. Professional wrestlers are still human beings.
yes,
Underneath, everything, we're still human beings. That's
100%.
that's what I say. We still endure everything else.
Yeah. And like, for instance, there is one story I want to talk about. You took on Melina a few years ago, 2021, I believe. And Melina, a huge proponent for women's wrestling in the WWE when it was pillow fights and, cat fights. And she was out
Mhm.
there trying to put on great matches. Did you take any wisdom? Like when you're in that locker room with all the women for EmPowerrr as well, is there wisdom being presented to you, and are you accepting it? Because I know some people are like, "Oh, I don't need your help. I don't want your help. I have it all under control here." Like, are you taking this advice from Melina and other great talents like that?
Oh my goodness, of course. Here's especially someone like Melina, but in general, I don't think I think I can learn from anybody because you don't know, well, you know what I mean. You take things with a grain of salt sometimes, but depending on who it is, obviously I listen back to every critique. I take everything into account, no matter who it is. I always hear everybody out because there's always room for improvement. You might be the champion, but you could be the best champion. You could be even better champion. You know, you can always up your game. There's more things you could do. You could take from anybody and anything. So yeah, and of course, Melina was one of my first matches at NWA. I had a triple threat with her. I actually think she was my first match at NWA. It was me versus Melina and Genocide. So getting to share a ring with Melina, and I literally remember her doing the splits for her entrance, like coming in. I'm like, of course, you know. So everything she said meant a lot. Everything Mickie James has ever taught me or said to me has meant a lot, which she obviously has helped me a lot. She was a big reason why I was at EmPowerrr. But so yeah, every time anyone says anything to me, I take everything into account because, you know, I don't know everything. You know, always room for improvement, always room to grow on all aspects, on every end, in life, in wrestling, in all aspects of life, period.
Of course. Now, you said Mickie James kind of got you. She helped you get into NWA. Can you elaborate more? Like, how does that connection work? How do you know her? How does she know you?
So Mickie James saw me whenever I was first at NWA just as an extra. So whenever I was first there, I'd actually hurt my shoulder, just like a little. It wasn't a big injury. I just did something to my shoulder. It hurt, and it was what it was. But her and Nick were doing some stuff for the pay-per-view, for the women's pay-per-view. They were getting like backstage stuff of all the women, but they put in a lot of work behind that. A lot of work. It was amazing. But they had cameras rolling and stuff. And whenever I got hurt, they came over to me, and there was still 2 more days of tapings. And I was my first time there. I was 18. I was upset. My shoulder was hurt. They didn't expect me to wrestle. The next day I come back and I wrestled. And obviously people were like, damn, she was just falling because her shoulder's hurt. Now she's in the ring and acting like she was never hurt. And that's just part of the game. And I feel like Mickie and Nick, they got that on camera. They had saw that. They kind of recognized that. She had checked on me, made sure I was coming to the pay-per-view, was checking on my gear for the pay-per-view. Later on down the road, she had me in her music video. So yeah, she's always like watched over me. I felt very loved and appreciated by Mickie. But yeah, that's how originally, I'm pretty sure Nick was the one who was there whenever I was hurt and had the cameras rolling and everything. So then we did an interview for it, and they just like this, they got to talk to me about what wrestling means to me, and I did a lot of interviews for the, you know, behind stage stuff, and I think she appreciated what I had to say, and it just kind of like grew from there. She kind of checked on me and texted me, and from then on it just kind of grew.
So Kenzie Paige, thank you so much for being here on Tank Out and sharing your story, because I think you inspired a lot of people out there who may be thinking about tipping their toes in the ring and realizing, this isn't sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, be ready to give a lot, my loves.
There you go. Give a lot, folks. Thanks for being here. I've been Steve Fall. She's Kenzie Paige. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.